Alright, so this is going to be another movie review. This one's called Six Against the Rock. (1987). It's about prison break from Alcatraz. It's a TV movie. I fucking hated this piece of shit. I gave it 1 out of 5 stars. It's got David Carradine and Michael Vincent and a bunch of people from Petulia and the Tales from the Crypt TV show. David Carradine and Michael Vincent play a couple of the cons who try to break out of Alcatraz. The problem is that they don't have the key to the yard door, so they can't board the ship. This all takes place on Alcatraz Island in 1947, I think. I've actually been to Alcatraz on a field trip when I was a kid. The place is kind of spooky, man. Anyways, I guess a lot of tourists go there now. It's empty, of course. Some of these guys are, well, most of these guys are hardened criminals, with the exception of the 19-year-old who got parole in 1973. According to the television movie, it's based on a true story, I guess. The Michael Vincent character escaped like 6 times, according to the narrator, or the person who's doing the typewriter across the screen, whichever case may be. So they do a pretty good job of like being able to escape from their cell, but they can't find the key to get to the boat, so it's kind of all in vain. I guess David Carradine planned it for 8 years because he didn't want to rot in that Alcatraz Island. But it was just boring. I thought it really felt like a TV movie, and I started to nod off, almost fell asleep watching it. That's how boring it was. But David Carradine completed, so I got to see all of his stuff, including the Tai Chi videos and the Lizzie McGuire episode. So I'm about midway through that. Started watching Enter the Void, which is 2.5 hours long. It's that movie's nuts. It's like Atmo Horrocks. I don't know how to describe it. Kind of like a Train Spotting meets Psyched by the 4D Witch. But I'll get to that review another day, probably next week. I don't think I'm going to finish it tonight, seeing as how it's 2.5 hours long, and it's almost 9 o'clock and I haven't had dinner yet. Anyways, that was a great flick so far. Enter the Void. Good recommendation from Don White. I can see why he likes it so much. It's really depressing kind of film. Shot in Tokyo, I might add. there's there's another great flick that I started watching, The Flowers of War, which is all-time highest grossing film in China, with Christian Bale. 50% of the movie is in English, and the other 50% is various Chinese dialects. So that was a cool flick. Just watching the trailer made me cry. It was like a tearjerker type trailer. And the movie's quite visually stunning too, from a cinematography standpoint. So yeah, that's another great flick that I got about halfway through before I went to go pick up my son today. Had to drive all the way to San Jose, wasted a quarter tank of gas. Then I had to stop at South San Francisco to fill up my tank. So it's been quite a good day in terms of movie watching, with the exception of this movie. I got halfway through those other two movies that I really enjoyed, so I'm going to highly recommend both of those, probably, in all likelihood, based on what I've seen so far. But this movie, definitely skip it. I mean, unless you're a David Carradine completist like me, there's no reason for you to watch this. I already watched it and I absolutely hated it. But I'm glad I got through it so I could get to Enter the Void and Altered States, the other two DVDs that I'm watching. So I'll see if I can get through those two next week and trudge along with some of the Don White recommendations. The first one was great recommendation, by the way. I don't think he's watching, but I haven't talked to Don White in about, I don't know, 6 years. I'm in his Facebook group, but I don't know what happened to Don White. Just like I don't know what happened to most of my friends over the years. But it was pretty cool that he made a list of cult movies for me, more recent ones to watch, particularly the ones from Japan. Like this one, Enter the Void, was filmed in Japan, but it's got some kind of French director or some kind of art house director, I don't know. And the two main characters, the brother and sister, are from the United States. I don't know who the junkie guy, what country he is from, but it's not from Japan. Anyways, I guess the only cool thing about watching this is that you get to see what San Francisco and Alcatraz looked like in 1987. But this is supposed to take place in 1947. Everybody looks like they're from 1987, 40 years later. So it's not very realistic, in my opinion. And the dialogue is lame. Boring flick. There's a lot of shooting and grenades going on. Like the Marines come out and they start firing mortars at Alcatraz. That was kind of crazy. It seemed like the warden is out for blood revenge. Kind of reminded me of Runaway Train in that respect. I mean, this guy is completely off his rocker. Now I know why they closed Alcatraz. It must have been cruel and unusual punishment to drive these guys want to escape and whatnot. Um, Especially during the late 40s. So from a historical standpoint, it was kind of interesting. I don't know how accurate it is. I don't know much about Alcatraz other than I've been inside and it looks creepy to me. But yeah, it kind of reminded me of that field trip I had when I was in 6th grade or whatever. That was the first time and the only time that I've ever been to Alcatraz. I mean, what's the allure of looking at a bunch of empty jail cells? I don't know. But I guess this is a tourist trap similar to Carradine Square or Fisherman's Wharf, that kind of thing. Whatever. Not really interested in Alcatraz tour, but the people who are interested in Alcatraz tour might want to watch this flick. I don't know. It's not my bag, I guess. Not really something that is close to my heart. I couldn't relate to any of these characters in this movie, including but not limited to the guards and the warden. I mean, it is kind of understandable that the guards don't, in the beginning of the movie, the guards don't want to be there. They sort of feel like prison inmates themselves, and their wives don't want to live there on Alcatraz. So it's kind of a hassle for them to commute back and forth, I guess. So there's that. That was really the only intriguing part of the movie. It was the very beginning when they start talking about their families and how they hate coming to work and stuff like that. But that only lasted for like 5 minutes. The rest of the movie was awful. Like I said, it doesn't feel like a 1947 scene, since all of their hairstyles are from 1987. There's a crazy guy. I don't know. He didn't seem very convincing, though. It's like he's got sores all over his face, and he's always screaming like he wants to kill himself, or I don't know what his deal is. But I don't know. They probably should have stuck him in the loony bin instead of Alcatraz. But I guess they didn't do that back in the late 40s. Nowadays, if some head shrinker thinks that you're a psychopath or some kind of mental disease, go to a mental institution instead of jail. But I guess that wasn't the case back in the late 40s. Anyway, I've been watching a lot of movies. Get through my DVDs and my instant view today. So too bad I couldn't watch 3 movies, but I watched like 1 plus 1/2 plus 1/2, which is like 2 movies. In terms of length of movie watching, I guess. But I actually did watch 3 movies. I just watched half of the other 2. And there are no bonus features on this disc. It's kind of a crappy disc from what is it, Koch Lorber. I'm not sure why they're doing this kind of movie. Usually they do like a foreign art house crap. So there's that. I don't know what else to say about this movie. It kind of pissed me off. I was disappointed. You expect more from David Carradine, but I guess this was prior to his drinking period, where he looked like he was stumbling around in Future Zone or whatever the hell that movie was that I just saw. Yeah. So I'm gonna get back to watching Enter the Void. Take a shower. Wash my hair. Get some food in my stomach. Haven't eaten anything for the last 9 hours since we were kind of pigging out at Roundtable in San Jose. Before I drove him to the library, tried to teach him how to identify shapes and stuff. Taught him a little bit of introductory multiplication. He's only age 6, and he's going to this nutsoid friggin' abacus Chinese math school. They won't even let him use the friggin' bathroom. I thought that was pretty hilarious. When I arrived there, he was like begging and pleading to use the bathroom. It's got this combination lock on it, so he can't get in unless they tell him the combination or whatever. It was friggin' ridiculous. It was like that, I don't know, that new movie that's coming out where you click on a YouTube video and it's got all this advertisements, but this middle school kid is like, "Oh no, your principal sucks." It's like that kind of school. Pretty bad. Anyway, it wasn't my choice. It was, of course, it was his mother's choice. I'm surprised she hasn't forced me to pay for it. At least half of it, or whatever percentage the court wanted me to pay. But good thing my child support is through the the child support services in Belmont. They're garnishing my paycheck. Otherwise, she probably would have gone after me for all these weekend classes, swimming, and in this crazy Chinese abacus math class. I just teach him math through Khan Academy. It's free. Yeah, he's already at 3rd grade level. He just got out of kindergarten. Apparently MIT posted some free classes, at least that's what Daryl W. Perry said when he was running for president. I don't know much about it, but it's worth checking out, I guess. Why even pay for college if you can take MIT classes online for free? So that was kind of intriguing to me. I don't know anything about it, but might be something looking into, 10 years from now or whatever. Anyways, big disappointment today with this movie. I actually sat and watched the entire thing at Starbucks and the library, and here in my my bachelor pad little sublet room here, I'm paying $450 a month for, which is probably a lot in other parts of the United States, but It's dirt cheap in Daly City. So yeah, I got more bills like car registration, which is DMV scam going on. I've got my car loan, my family lawyer, or at least the guy who was representing me last year until I went pro per. What else I got going on? Rent and Kaiser, I guess. Do I have a Kaiser bill here? Yeah. Too many friggin' bills. Yep, I've got Kaiser. Too many friggin' bills and not enough money in my checking account. I guess I gotta move money around to my savings account next month again. Pretty soon I'm not gonna have any savings left. If I had more savings, I'd short the stock market. It was down big time on Friday after the Brexit vote. I could have made like 44% in one day buying the UVXY ticker symbol, but I didn't have enough cash. Dang it. Keep telling myself things can't get any worse. But thanks for watching my video. Hopefully I'll learn some Google AdSense to the point where they'll send me $100 check. But I've been doing these advertisements on my channel, and they don't amount to much, unfortunately. So that's about it. I'll end my video before Google Plus cuts it down to 5 seconds or some weird shit. Laters.